Now at 6, a tragedy in southeast Portland. A local middle school says a student was killed in an accidental shooting.
What we know about the shooting and how the school plans to support students today, coming up in one of our top local stories.
And big changes could be on the way for bottle recycling in Oregon. A look at proposals to let bottle drop sites close down early.
Also, a good deal on parking in downtown Vancouver is ending. Starting next month, parking on the weekends there no longer free. How much it will cost coming up. Plus,
don't wait till the last minute. We want to make sure everybody's ballot's counted.
Oregon's special election is tomorrow, so there's still time, not much time, but a little time to cast your vote. More on what you need to know before turning in your ballot coming up as your 6 o'clock hour of sunrise starts right now. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on your Tuesday. I'm China Green.
Whoa. Is it Tuesday already?
Monday.
I'll take it. Hey, Ashley, Rod, raise your hand. If you want it to be Tuesday instead of Monday, let me know.
Who's getting coffee? Who's doing the run? Is it your turn?
Well, Tuesdays, it's usually your day, so maybe you should go. All right, here we go. On a Monday. Rodney Hill, what do you have for us weather-wise?
China does have her green on, which matches the Monday rain, so she gets partial credit for that. Good morning, everybody. We've had one wave of rain move through. There are some breaks out there right now, but the roadways are wet, and you can see more off to our west. And some of this coming in through the 8 o'clock hour this morning could be heavier than what we've seen so far. Here's a look at the low clouds, and right now dry, but more rain is coming. 50 is the temperature. We have a KGW weather impact alert up just to grab your attention for the rain during the morning commute hours and the fact that almost always leads to some slowing, so extra time today. 50 out the door, behind a front by noon, not much going on, just a few scattered light showers, mid-50s, and we think there could be a few scattered light showers later today with a high of 64. Here's Ashley.
Sounds like not a bad afternoon. Well, this is what you want the map to look like as you're heading out on your morning commute. Everything in very good shape so far at the 6 a.m. hour here. I'll give you a closer look at the map in that North Portland, Vancouver area. Here's a look from the camera at Jansen Beach here near the Interstate Bridge. You can see things moving right along, but again, wet roadways. As Rod had mentioned, we'll head out a little bit further east. This is photojournalist Eric Patterson behind the wheel of Drive 8. Much wetter out near Troutdale. He's on Interstate 84 this morning, so be aware of that. We'll give you a closer look here a little bit further south as well. This is I-5 near Tualatin. Not tracking any major crashes at this hour, guys.
Thank you, Ashley. And speaking of your drive, you may see this sign on your way into work this morning. Westland police are looking for 81-year-old Judith Roberts. So take a good look at your screen right now. They say she was last seen on Friday sitting in her white Volkswagen Jetta with the license plate 501 JYP on Wildwood Drive in Westland. She's 5'6", short gray hair, glasses. Police say that she has cognitive issues and may be endangered and does not have her cell phone with her. So if you see her, call 911 or the non-emergency line at 503-635-0238.
Oregon's special election is tomorrow, and the early returns show that voter turnout this year is very low.
Sonoma County reports under 12% of voters have returned their ballots so far. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz joins us live in southeast Portland from the county's election offices. So Thomas, what do officials have to say about this?
Well, China, election officials say that it seems like this is going to be a lower turnout election. They say that right now Multnomah County is on track to only have 21% of those ballots returned. And there are some big topics this go-round. Portland Public Schools is asking for its biggest bond measure ever, worth $1.8 billion. Now, if that is passed, more than $1 billion will be used to modernize and rebuild 3 high schools, Cleveland, Jefferson, and Ida B. Wells. There's also races for fire and water districts across the county.
Everything counts. Yeah, we pour through the information they send out ahead of time and decide who we're going to vote for.
So some voters there doing their due diligence, and voter turnout is always lower during special elections, but this time it's particularly low. In Multnomah, just under 12% of voters have cast their ballots. Clackamas County data is pretty similar. Just over 12% of voters have submitted ballots there. And elections officials in both counties are urging voters to get that vote in now.
You can also come here in person and vote in one of our voting booths if you would like. And if you need assistance voting, if you have a disability or if English isn't your first language, we can assist you with voting and making sure that you can get your ballot in.
Don't wait till the last minute. We want to make sure everybody's ballot's counted.
And if you haven't gotten in now, it seems like you are waiting until the last minute. You have until tomorrow to get that ballot in. Now, Director of Elections in Multnomah County, Tim Scott there, says there's more than 30 ballot box locations across the county. He does say that if you usually vote at a library, check to see if that location's open. 6 libraries are closed, though there are temporary voting sites for those people affected. Guys.
All right, Thomas Schultz live for us this morning in Southeast Portland. Meanwhile, Oregon could make some changes to its bottle drop bill. According to the Associated Press, state lawmakers are considering new restrictions on bottle redemption sites. So the suggested changes include allowing stores to refuse bottle returns after 8 p.m. The city of Portland could also set up alternative redemption options like mobile return sites with collection trucks showing up in different neighborhoods. Under this new proposal, stores in areas that have an alternative drop site could also limit or refuse returns, and convenience stores would be allowed to stop accepting returns at 6 p.m.
An Oregon nonprofit is suing the federal government, demanding it reinstate grant funding. So Oregon Humanities and the Federation of State Humanities Councils filed the suit last week against DOGE and the National Endowment for the Humanities. NEH has partnered with state and local humanity councils for decades. But last month, NEH leaders informed state humanities groups that it was pulling funding as part of its efforts to trim the government. Oregon Humanities is now seeking an injunction to hold NEH accountable for its side of the partnership.
I think the lawsuit is principally about the fact that the executive has overstepped and tried to undo what Congress is obligated to do and has chosen to do for over 50 years.
The nonprofit says about 45% of its budget was funded by federal government. And earlier this month, it laid off 2 employees and switched everyone else to part-time. It also cut grant and fellowship funds.
So this is a very small amount of funding from the perspective of the federal government. But when you think about Klamath Falls or Burns or LeGrand, $3,000 grant here, $5,000 there, that's what helps knit the community together, and that's what just got pulled.
The director of Oregon Humanities, who you just heard from there, says the reasoning for the funding cuts still haven't been made clear, but Oregon Humanities is currently seeking additional emergency funding from the community to continue its services.
The U.S. Justice Department could be dropping criminal charges against Boeing, stemming from the 2 deadly 737 MAX crashes that killed more than 300 people nearly a decade ago. The families of the victims say instead of pursuing a criminal trial, the U.S. government is likely to sign an agreement with Boeing that would include giving the families nearly $500 million. But our sister station in Seattle spoke to the mother of one of the crash victims who says she doesn't want money. She wants justice.
They just were making excuses. You know, they said, oh, we have a low chance of prevailing at trial. We don't care. We want our Department of Justice to look for justice.
Boeing hasn't commented on this report. Our sister station in Seattle also reached out to the Department of Justice, but hasn't heard back yet.
Hey, heads up for folks in Vancouver. Starting June 1st, parking will no longer be free on the weekends in downtown Vancouver. We're talking about the streets south of Evergreen Boulevard. City officials say that the move is based on data showing high demand for spaces, but too little turnover during peak hours. Some local business owners aren't too happy with the change.
Well, I park here 7 days a week. So on average, I have to spend around $10 a day. So I usually used to get a break on weekends, and now it's going to be $70 a week, which comes to $280 a month. That's like a car payment.
Right now, street parking costs between $1.75 and $2.50 per hour along the waterfront. Currently, no immediate rate hikes are planned, but city officials are asking the council to raise the maximum allowed parking rate to $3.50 an hour.
Vancouver resident Rod Hill joins the mix now. Yes?
Couldn't the government just come out and say, we're doing this because we want more money? That's got to be at least part of the reason. Come on.
See, I think you're deflecting right now, Rob, because I heard a rumor that said you were going to start charging for parking in front of your house in Vancouver.
Well, that is true.
Okay.
but there's a big demand. All right. Good morning, everybody. We've got wet roadways out there, and the radar's pretty lit up. We've had one wave that's basically made the wet roadways across our entire region from Salem up through Longview. Now there's some breaks, but there's more steady rain just off to our west. We have a KGW weather impact alert up through 10 o'clock this morning. That's when a surface front comes through, and most of the rain we're going to get today will come to an end. And then we've got just some scattered showers the remainder of today. But of course, rain most impactful during the morning commute, so that's why we have the alert up. Slow down, extra time. Again, roadways are wet across the entire region. There's the low clouds with rain currently coming down in Lincoln City from our Winds Casino Resort camera. Here's a beautiful countryside out over the vineyard from the Chehalem Tasting Room in Sherwood. That looks wet. Well, everything looks wet. There's downtown Portland, and we're at 50 degrees. So the temperature is comfortable as you step outside. So far, winds have been generally less than 10 miles per hour. Gresham's at 49. We're all pretty close to 50. Tigard is at 50 degrees. Salem and Kaiser each at 51. Good morning to you. All right, this is a weak system. It'll push some rain through the gorge. You folks in the Dalles may or may not get some measurable rainfall later this morning. May or may not be some measurable rainfall, but probably some traces in central Oregon. And then there's basically a shower chance later today out over the Blues. 50s to 60s statewide, as you can see. Our KGW weather impact alert again up through 10 o'clock this morning. After that time, most of the rain is over. And of course, the morning commute's over as well. Much drier for your drive home later today. Wednesday's our next completely dry day. And then we have some rain chances to follow. But right now, it looks like the Saturday and Sunday of your Memorial Day weekend, yes, that's this weekend coming, will be dry with temperatures up into the 70s. And that's your update.